Pompey Sound, your hourly update from Fratton Park, sponsored by Piglet's Pantry, the home of award-winning and handmade food on the South Coast.
It's late Friday afternoon, early Friday evening, and we're on the edge of our seats kind of thing, waiting for Pompey to announce the official retained and released list. And as soon as we have that, we will bring you that information and also discuss it. In the meantime, there are one or two interesting stories that are bubbling under with Pompey, so we'll bring you those as if this was a normal news broadcast.
Portsmouth FC has announced season ticket prices for their 2025-26 Championship campaign, with most categories seeing a modest increase. Adult renewals will cost £496 in most areas of Fratton Park, up £41 from last season, while those aged over 64 will pay £376, up £31. The club has laid out a clear timeline for purchases, with existing season ticket holders able to renew from 10 a.m. on Tuesday, May 13th. Fans will have until June 3rd to secure their current seats at the renewal rate. After this, the waiting list opens from June 16 to 25, followed by general sale from June 27th. CEO Andy Cullen addressed the price rises head-on, citing increased operating costs, including changes to national insurance contributions and utility bills. However, he emphasized the club's commitment to younger supporters by introducing a new under-11 pricing category. The passionate support at Fratton Park has been incredible this season, Cullen said. We've been fortunate to sell all 15,000 season tickets, which helped make our ground a real fortress and played a huge part in securing our championship status. The club is maintaining its flexible payment options, allowing fans to spread costs over several months. For those looking to buy their first season ticket, prices start at £511 for adults on the waiting list and £550 for general sale purchases when available.
Pompey could be the next club to get the Welcome to Wrexham treatment, with owner Michael Eisner hinting at plans for a behind-the-scenes documentary series inspired by the Welsh club's success story. While Wrexham didn't invent the football documentary genre, we've seen everything from Amazon's Spurs and Arsenal series to Netflix's Sunderland, Till I Die, and even the classic 2005 Neil Warnock Sheffield United film. They've certainly made it cool for lower league clubs to open their doors to the cameras. Eisner, who knows a thing or two about entertainment as former Disney chairman, actually considered doing something similar at Fratton Park before, but held back, worried about coming across as a Hollywood stereotype. But seeing how Wrexham and Birmingham City have handled it has changed his mind. We'll be copying them to a degree, Eisner admitted, though he's careful to note, it's complicated. You have to think hard about how you want to invest. The potential payoff could be huge. Just look at Wrexham. They're pulling in more commercial revenue than some Premier League clubs, with a £18.8 million player budget to show for it. Big brands like United Airlines are lining up to get involved, drawn by the massive exposure these documentaries provide. Even Birmingham City, whose series hasn't aired yet, is already seeing benefits. Their chairman Tom Wagner claims the Amazon deal, which will reach over 200 countries, has helped them achieve unprecedented revenue levels, matching those of clubs with Premier League parachute payments.
Well, is increasing. Premier League clubs are being asked to stage Premier League matches in the United States. And of course, we've got so many clubs now that are owned by American business people and American business and investment conglomerates and consortiums. So it's very clear that Michael Eisner, being a leading figure in the American entertainment industry still, is going to know how to pursue this project better than anybody else, actually. And he will get it right. I was touched by one of his comments, which was that you have to evaluate everything very carefully before you make an investment. I took this to mean that Pompey will be paying for the facilities, for the equipment, for the expertise, for the editing and so forth. And they will want to recoup those costs in revenue, whether it's sponsorship or advertising or business partnerships with important players. I would imagine the Eisners have got themselves so many air miles with whichever airline they have an arrangement with for all the occasions that they fly over en masse, usually. sometimes the entire family, sometimes just Mr. and Mrs., sometimes Mr. and Mrs. and Eric, but they're over here a lot, and they've obviously got good relationships with a whole raft, as the phrase goes, of American businesses, and if they can manage to persuade one or more of them to share the costs and therefore gain the benefits of a Wrexham Birmingham style or Spurs and Arsenal style. The Spurs, I enjoyed the one with Mourinho, of course, because he's such a good performer. John Messino is good in front of the cameras, but probably the one area that he has got to go a little bit further in developing is his on-air, in front of camera, press conference, Mourinho charisma. I'm not saying John Messino lacks charisma. I don't think anybody in football, Alex Ferguson obviously, but that was a different type of charisma, has had the charisma of Jose Mourinho. So that one worked very well, I thought. I'm afraid I haven't seen the others, the Birmingham one or the Wrexham one, but good luck to both of them. And it seems as though they're making a success of it. I believe both clubs have strong American associations. But here's the thing. They've been trying with football in America for about 50 years now. When I went out there to work in one of their summer camps, I was recruited to do some soccer coaching at Walt Whitman High in Washington. And I'd never seen so many brand new leather footballs all together in one place in England. I mean, I don't think professional clubs in England had as many brand new leather footballs to mess with, train with, play with, than this squad of 20 or 30 or so students, all of whom were sporting misfits. They couldn't play gridiron, they weren't any good at basketball, so they were signed up to this exploratory soccer class, and it was an embarrassment. They couldn't even toe punt it, and that was about all they were trying to do. But I remember thinking, if they're going to put that sort of resource into soccer, then watch out, because the Americans are coming. And of course, American women's soccer is as good as anybody's. But American men's soccer, we're getting players coming over here who are shaking things up. They're good players. They're good players, but the domestic game remains, it seems to me, reliant on South American footballers who didn't quite make it in Brazil, Mexico, what have you, and there's no great shame in that. Or else players who are reaching the ends of their careers and are looking for a lucrative final season or two. And America is a great place to live and work, or at least I'm going to say this, even though it's political, it was a great place to live and work. I don't know what it's like now. So there's a plan there for the future, which is obviously very interesting. Reaction to the season ticket news, I would say that our editorial use of the word modest rise in the cost of season tickets is probably about fair. Of course, there will be people who will feel as though a rise isn't warranted or isn't deserved. But the cost of living does go on increasing, not just for individuals, where it probably hits the hardest, but also for businesses, including, let's never forget that Portsmouth FC is also a limited liability company. It's a business, and they want to break even. That's Andy Cullen's job, is to make sure that fairly soon they break even, the club breaks even, and don't present Michael Eisner with yet another bill for which he always writes the cheque or does the money transfer, or however it works these days at the top end of financial transactions. Are our season tickets value for money? Well, they certainly are, because I read that a number of clubs, bigger clubs than us, are planning on reducing the number of season tickets that they make available to their fans, for the simple reason that they'll get more for that seat if it is sold on a match-by-match basis than if it is sold as a season ticket, which is necessarily a lower price than you would pay if you were to buy that seat for each individual match. That's how the whole notion of season tickets works the world over, whatever the season is. You know, my first season ticket was a train ticket to school, and I got that at a reduced rate because I was able to buy one that would last me for 3 months, the whole of each term. So, like all of us, I became quickly acquainted with the notion that if you're going to pay something out on a regular basis, and especially if it's kind of the same amount, you might as well make a block booking for that purchase. And in return for that saving on administrative costs, the provider will simply reduce by a little bit, not a lot, but enough to make it worth your while to take out a season ticket, reduce the average cost of each purchase. And so some Premier League clubs, some of whom are charging £85, perhaps in places even more, if there's hospitality thrown in and what have you, for a match day seat, recognise that they'll get an awful lot less than that for that seat if it's a season ticket seat. And so they're looking to reduce the number of season tickets. So that's the background to those two stories there, neither of which stack up at all compared to the one that we all want to break, which is the news of the releases and the retained list. And there are one or two. There's a little bit of whispering going on, and I can't attach sufficient credit to it. Those whispers, sufficient credit to them to feel justified in passing them on. Nor, if the whispers turn out to be right, will I do a kind of "I told you so" or "we were in the know" or crow in any way like that, because we're just not sure. We shall wait until there's an official announcement from Portsmouth Football Club. We will then pass on the news, and then we will bring Mick Robertson, Steve Bone, Dan if he's around, Dean as well, Sam Stone, all our resident correspondents to Pompey Sound, and get their assessment and judgment on who has been retained and who's been shown the door. This is Pompey Sound.